named flipped classroom. So to know about the flipped classroom, first of all we need to know the learning stages. Generally there are two stages we may think of. One is the transmission stage and another is the assimilation stage. In the transmission stage, the learning is through the lectures, readings and so on, whereas in the assimilation stage, through the homework, assignments and projects, the knowledge which we get will be assimilated. As per the Bloom's taxonomy, there are 6 skills which we are developing during the educational system for the students, particularly remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating and creating. So out of these 6, remembering and understanding is what we are doing in the classroom transition stage, and by providing the assignments like interdisciplinary projects, maybe applying some knowledge based on the social domain, or we'll be providing some homework, we are providing some assignments, we are providing some extra readings. All these things are going to happen outside the class for assimilation of the knowledge. So classroom transition stage is covering 2 skills, and cognitive stage basically is having 4 skills which are applying, analyzing, evaluating and creating, is taken care outside the class. Now what is in the traditional classroom transition stage? We have teacher is the center focus of the lesson. That is, teacher is the focus of the lesson. Teacher is the primary disseminator of information during the class period. He is the only disseminator of the information during the class period. Individual lessons may be didactic and content oriented. Student engagement may be limited. I don't say it is full. Yes, it is limited. In what sense it is limited, we know it. So we will not be having more on it. Enhancement in learning by providing homework by the teacher. So that is the assimilation stage, which just we have spoken out, is through the homework in whatever form you are giving. So if you see this entire scenario, how it is looking like, I have prepared the model of transformer. It is very specific, as I am from physics, so I am doing this as a step down transformer. So knowledge transformer is a teacher, and see the students' need. Here, as this transformer is transferring the knowledge in the form of voltage, you say, like somebody is requiring 6 volt, 9 volt and 1.5 volt, 3 volt, 6 volt, means, I mean to say that their needs are not common. So is a teacher, being a transformer of knowledge, fulfill the needs of every learner? That's what the question is. Do we cater the need of all learners? Do we or not? So we may or may not cater the need of all the learners. Then how do we find in traditional classroom the following things? Like student, if I can consider any student, what is his engagement index? What is its helpful index? What is its consistency? What is the number of questions he asked? How many number of questions he answered? How much is his social domain? And how much is his leadership index? So how do we find these things in the traditional classroom? There are many methods we are applying. We are recording it now through the CC. We are doing so many things for recording, but I find the solution to this is a flipped classroom also. So it is one of the possible solution to keep all the track of these indices. The flipped classroom may suit you very obviously. We may use the flipped classroom for recording all these things. So let us find out what is the meaning of flipped classroom. It inverts traditional teaching methods, delivering instructions online, outside the class, and moving homework inside the class. So what you are doing? Inverting traditional teaching method, delivering the instructions online outside the class, and moving homework inside the class. If you see this picture, the flipped classroom is having, before coming to the class, students prepare to participate in class activities. So the instructions are given to the students to prepare for participating in the class activities. When they come to the class, during the class, the students participate and apply the key concepts with feedbacks. They will apply the key concepts with feedback. During the class, the feedback is very much important. So the instructor, the teacher will utilize the class time for applying the key concepts. After the class, the student will check their understanding and extend their learning by using the online tools provided by the teacher. What is change we do find in the traditional classroom and this one? So what we seen is the flip of what was going in the class is now going to the home, and what was doing in the home is coming to the class. So I rather say the learning goes or learning happens in home and creativity comes in a class. So see that, is it flipped? I have shown you before the 6 skills what we are doing. Now the 4 fundamental skills which are needed, like applying, analyzing, evaluating and creating, has been taken care inside the class, whereas understanding, remembering, these are the 2 skills which you are taking it outside the class. So most of the time the teacher, the instructor, the educator will be associated in developing these skills in the classroom, or maybe even online real time. So if you see this now, the steps of flipping, rather I say this is universal design of learning which compose of 4 steps. Step number 1 is a concept exploration. Step number 2 is meaning making. Step number 3 is experimental engagement, and step number 4 is demonstration and application. So our universal design of learning is based on these 4 steps, and it is not exception for the flipped classroom too. So what we are doing in the step 1 is the content to be explored, so the concept to be explored. So the concepts or the contents rich web references or the videos which are in the form of audios, videos, pictures, images, PowerPoints, podcast, or we may say any other available online resources which have the same contents what you want to deliver to the students should be given for exploration, so that the first step will be covered, that is concept exploration. Second step is meaning making, in which we need to make sure whatever the concepts are explored are known to them. So for that we will be having the tests, exams and assignments. Some social networkings we may do, we may ask the questions through WhatsApp and get the answers immediately, or sometimes the students will record their sound and post it to the podcast, or they will write in the form of blogs, or you may be using the blogs for creating the meaning making. So there are many alternatives we can do it by for making the meaning of what they explored. In the experimental engagement, the students actually involved in problem solving, community projects or arts, or making the games or doing the experiments. Once they have the engagement index high, then definitely their application index, that is the creativity skill, will be developed, and they may create the personalized projects, or maybe they were designing the applications, or they may design and demonstrate the applications. So these are the 4 basic fundamental steps of universal design of learning, which is also applicable for flipping the class. So if you wish to do the flipping, so we may think of these 4 steps. What is the process? Let us see the process. Your first thing is to set the objective and learning outcomes. Once we set, then record the contents in the form of videos or the presentations or the audios and any means whichever is available which will be accessible. Now these recorded videos or the contents should be available to the learner by providing the necessary instructions to use it. Then third is, you need to think of or design the engagement in such a way that the students which explore the contents given in the form of online videos should be tested and sort out their difficulties, if any, during the class hours. So we engage the students in the class by providing the content based assignments and support to sort out the difficulties and enhance the cognitive skills. There are 4 pillars of the flip. As 4 steps we have seen, there are 4 pillars also. There is first pillar is a flexible environment. What is that? It means that educator provide variety of learning modes which we cannot do it in the classroom, we may do it online. Provide a collaborative classroom space. What is the meaning of it? Is we may engage them in the groups, we may ask them to collaborate, we may convert the classroom as an activity room, and so on. So because of this, the learning culture may happen. And second pillar of the flip is the learning culture. So learning culture is learner centered approach. The total in-class time is dedicated to explore the topic in greater depth. So if we are giving the sufficient time and giving the sufficient tools to explore, then definitely the knowledge of that topic will be explored in the greater depth. There are the intentional contents which the educator, as being a teacher, we are keeping, so that our objectivity or the learning outcomes can be matched. So basically the tailor-made contents, because nowadays online so many contents are available and everyone is having the access to it, but as these access or as these contents are accessible, are fulfilling the learning objectives which you are set. If it is so, you can give it as is, otherwise you have to make the tailor cutting, or we have to provide the tailor-made contents to explore. Then, being a professional educator as a fourth pillar, we need to provide a consistent support to the learner. So what is happening in the process of traditional classroom sessions, we focus for 35-40 minutes class, and we will be concentrating more on those minutes. After that, we are totally neglecting, rather we say we are not aware of, we may not neglect totally, but we are not aware of what the students are doing at home. So we are supposed to be in touch with those students, those learners who learn at home. So provide the consistent support to the learner. Somewhere they may stuck and will not be available at that time. So for that sake, the supporting is required. So provide the consistent support to the learner, and immediate feedbacks are also important. So many times we are taking the exams and feedback is giving later. At the time when we give the feedback, the learner may not be knowing what the feedback is for. So instant feedback, the reflective feedbacks, matters a lot to improve. So if you see what the flipped classroom does for me and my student, for me they provide ample time to engage the students. For me, it is a time which I get it more in the classroom for engaging the students, and for the students they will get an enhancements for the cognitive skills. So it actually enhances the cognitive skills of the learner. So if you see this image at the center, learning center rather than teaching. What does it mean? What we are doing in the traditional classroom is the teacher centered method. Now our approach is changed from teacher centered to learner centered. Fosters the independent learning. It means when I teach, the student may not be aware of or not mentally present or mentally ready to accept what I am saying. But if I do the same thing through the video and allow him to access the video at his or her own pace, then fosters the independent learning. Provides increased individual attention. So what I am doing through this is I am trying to give more emphasis on personalized learning. So if I have a time in the class, I will be more inclined to provide the time to the individuals who could not perform well. So rather than taking an average of 50 students and saying that you keep quiet now, he is asking the question, or you don't ask me the question, after this you can ask it, so and so on, so many remarks we can do. But what I mean to say here is individualization is possible because the classroom time is utilized for activity, group activity or individual attention. So it also encourages higher student engagement. As we are making the group of the students, so these students will be engaged in the form of groups, and being there in the groups, they promotes the interaction and collaborative skills. So if you see this, all what we are doing in the CC can be easily achieved by using the flipped classroom. If you see the advantages of flipped classroom, active versus passive learning is one of the advantage of the flipped classroom. By moving lectures outside the class, students are able to become active participants in the learning process through the learning activities delivered during the class period. Self-paced instructions, because lectures are available 24/7, students are able to learn at pace and the best suits them. They can stop, rewind explanations of the concepts they find difficult and refer back to the past lectures to rewind and review the older contents. Multiple learning styles are possible. Different students learn in different ways, so by delivering the instructions in multiple forms, the likelihood of engagement and retention is improved. Varied instructions is also one of the advantage of the flipped classroom. By offering the instructions in multiple forms, students are more likely to remain motivated throughout the learning process. There are some social interactions also possible. With the added class time of collaborative activities, the social interaction is promoted among the students and the teacher. And 21st century preparation is also possible, because the 21st century preparation is for technological evaluation, and as they are using technology, their technical skills will be enhanced. The disadvantage, if you see, for this flipped classroom, I find for one reason or the another, not all students are capable of accessing online instructions at home, which can be set them back in learning process and limit their progress. So it may be one of the drawbacks, because as technology is yet to develop and technology should reach to everyone, and the accessibility is one of the major factor, which is universal factor, and it will be one of the major disadvantage of this flipped classroom. Another major disadvantage of this is that creating online lessons and coming up with the engaging learners activities for entire requires a significant amount of additional time and efforts that we are not willing to commit, or it is not easily possible to make these efforts. So let us see who are the creators of this flipped classroom. It has been considered the pioneers of this flipped classroom theory are the teachers teaching chemistry at Woodland High School, Aaron Sams and Tom Bugman. Both are of chemistry lectures. They recorded their lectures and given to the students online, and they got a huge response from the students to learn through the videos. So as a result, they have utilized their classroom time for the activities. So they have initiated the simple steps: record the lecture and post online, assign the videos as a homework, and use the class for activities. So if you see the timeline of the flipped classrooms, this is not a new concept. It started now from 1997, and till today we are having so many flipped classes. There are different versions of the flipped classroom coming up. So one of the major which you know is the Salman Khan Academy, which we are using it for our students also. Many times the students might be seeing the videos and coming and telling you, this video I have seen this particular concept I learned from the Khan's Academy. In 2007, Woodland Park High School, there is a chemistry teacher. Just I have shown the photos of both gentlemen, Bugman and Sams. They are the actually pioneers in this, and Principal Green is also a major contributor in this flipped classroom. This entire school has been flipped. So if you see in Mackington's Clintondale High School, the school flipped every classroom. So whatever the class we are using, whichever the subject, whatever it is, so it is entirely flipped. Now if I want to use this pedagogy for me, what are all I need to have, or we may think of what are all I need to implement. So very first thing is identify the instruction delivery mode, identify your technological proficiency for implementation, work out the cost and budget aspect. So identify the instructions delivery mode. What it does mean, what instructions you are going to use, what are the modes, what is the technology. So identify online videos from your digital depository which are free or you are going to record and give to the students. So create your lessons using narrated screens, use the different tools available, or set up the video cameras and record your own lectures, set up your video cameras and capture the videos. The hardware requirement is very simple. A smartphone is enough for you nowadays with the internet connectivity, but of a more sophisticated form you may use the PC, laptop and broadband connectivity. So it is only a kind of what we are having is recording a video of your lecture. So software requirement is something like online videos which are free or maybe you may pay. Screencasting softwares are required, video editing softwares are required. So these are all the requirements of the softwares, and most importantly we need to have the technical proficiency, that is ICT skills are also important. So here I am trying to give you the sample of how we can design a flipped classroom. I said the first step is to set the instruction goal. So I have done that here for sampling. My students, being you are the students, must understand the meaning of the term flipped classroom. That is my first goal. Instruction goal is that. So student must access, that is nothing but what we are setting the objectives of the lesson plan. So student must access the contents and collaborate with their friends. That is the second objective, and third objective is the student should post and answer the questions asked. That is the third objective. So I set the instructional goals. Now I am identifying the contents and the way in which I am supposed to present to the students. So the contents of my class is explaining flipped classroom. This is the content which I want to explain. The contents are presented on the web portal eschool.learndigitally.in, which you are accessing in the form of video, podcast and web resources. The contents are presented to suit all kinds of learner. So this part I have taken, but not that seriously. But if we are doing a flipped classroom for your class, we have to think in all aspects of ways to learn, and accordingly you need to put your contents. Now when I put something on the web, like I need to prepare the testing part, that is meaning making. I have prepared the rubrics for testing. So content access, if you are doing, you will be getting 2 marks. Answering the questions will be giving you 5 marks. Expressing is 3 marks, so total is of 10 marks. Now these questions you will be getting in the access, so I am not going to disclose it here. What I need now is plan the platform to express the learning. So you may express your learning by creating a blog on school presentations, or you may design any Word file and write the contents in it, or you may record and send a mail to me. Then the last, that is the creativity, which I am going to test it by asking you to create a small module to demonstrate the flipped classroom pedagogy. So the bottom line, I hope, for accepting this as a tool, I say it is not always the right instructional choice. It is only the tool in our toolbox. So this flipped class is only a tool in our toolbox, and it can be a powerful one. You may do this, use it, find it out, is it powerful or not. Thanks.